called Henry and Moor by Biomi Samp. Castleford, Yorkshire, mining town, coal, River Aire, Welldale, Glassoughton, Fryston, Ledston Lock, Ollerton Bywater, Half Acres, Weldon Lane, Carlton Street, Hickson's, Lums, Henry Moor. I had a dream about Henry Moor, that somebody had rammed his sculpture, crashing into it while joyriding. And it hadn't budged, the sculpture. It was now inside the centre of the car, squashing the seats out of the way, still on its plinth. Everywhere round Castleford was a slag heap, mountains made from unusable coal dust. I went to visit the pit. Henry Moor, right famous he is, him. When we got there, lights flickered on and off, and we saw how really black it was, damp, cold and wet, the sound of water dripping everywhere, muffled drilling noises miles away at the coal face, tubs of coal riding on rails, bumping and jostling their way along the network of narrow tracks. Coal dust you could see by the lamp on the front of your hard hat. Does he, Henry Moor, still live in Cass? Henry Moor is a bore. I also learned Henry Moor went down the pit, drawing miners as they worked. There seemed to be a lot of controversy about his work, what it meant. Oh, so that's the smell of wet bronze. Milk snatcher. Coal. Henry Moor is a bore. Plenty needed a job in Cass now the mines were shutting. Coal. 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 I'd heard Henry Moor was influenced by being inside caves. I'd seen these caves. Several of them were bricked up around Queen's Park and the quarries in Glassoughton and the Potteries Quarry. When I saw these caves, there was soft edge leading into the hillside with trees and bushes on top. I'd also heard a warning tale when I was young to stay out of these caves and not to make burrows into the soft, crumbly sandstone in all these places, or I'd end up dead like some children whose cave burrow had collapsed in on top of them. Coal fire smog from the narrow rows of streets. Everywhere around Castleford was a slag heap, mountains made from unusable coal dust. But where are the new jobs? I remember my mother telling me that Henry Moor's uncle had taught at the same school she had attended, and that was my first feeling of being connected to the artist. I was into art and metalwork at school, always drawing, and I enjoyed making things in metal. A toasting fork for a coal fire would come in handy in the cold winters, a copper ashtray for my grandfather who worked at the same colliery as Henry Moor's father. I learned welding at the Tech once a week, the Mining and Technical College. There seemed to be a lot of controversy about his work, what it meant. Later in high school, we were asked to do a presentation on an artist we admired. I forget who I chose, but one girl in my class chose Henry Moor. She showed examples of his wartime drawings in the London Underground and photographs of his sculpture. I liked the sculptures and the idea that they could be outside and accessible to everyone. By then I was leaving Cass by bus, travelling 9 miles over Heath Common. By 16 I got myself a scholarship to go and study art at Wakefield College for 2 years. Henry Moor also got a scholarship to study art in Leeds. It was here I learnt more about Moor from Jan, my art history tutor. At last, something interesting by him. Nice strings, a bit like a harp, a cage where a bird could fly out of it. Bit like a pram. Presumably the bird would return so it could play a riff by pecking the strings. Could it be amplified? Thatcher, Thatcher, milk snatcher. Maggie, Maggie, Maggie. Out, out, out.